Are you feeling anxious? Online Therapy 24/7 is here to help. We offer confidential support from the comfort of your own sofa. Our highly qualified therapists are experienced in a full range of daily challenges. You'll be in safe and trusted hands. Don't suffer alone. Change your life by calling us on 0207 553 50 80 and check out our website onlinetherapy247.com.
That's it.
Advert,
everybody.
wasn't it?
What's that? Say again?
It was that advert for Diet Coke break, wasn't it? You know, when they take a sip and they do.
Do they?
I think it was. I'm not sure. It was one of those.
Or was it Kia Ora, Rita Ora? Anyway, let's say good morning to Barry J. Allen. Good morning, Russ Phil. Here we are at the 12 o'clock handicap stakes at Kempton Park. Barry J. Allen. Looking at Essence Adventure, written by Toby in the colours of Her Majesty the Queen there, coming in the far side there. On the rails, it's Richard Todd. Good afternoon to you, Richard Todd. Coming up very quickly there in the blinkers and the sheepskin noseband, it's Esther Winston. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Keep laughing and dancing. Back to you in the studio.
Thank heavens for that. Because when you mentioned Barry J. Allen, there was only one thing that went through my mind. You could say it flashed through my mind. There you go. Lovely.
There we go.
Anyway.
That's upset every fan of Freddie Mercury. Interesting. Now, obviously. Now then. What was I going to say? Yeah, much on my mind today. It was a bit of a fracas. I'm not going to mention any of the names. Good afternoon to Alexandra Lichtenfeld, the Martini Queen.
Is it too early to think about martinis at midday? Probably is, actually.
Never. Well, it's my stomach the way I'm feeling today. But apart from that, no, it's never. Here's the thing, Philip. It's never too early to think about a martini. Never. Whether you want to have it or not is another matter, but it's never too early to think about it. Traffic on the stairs was great.
Very good, Paul.
Paul, that's fantastic. I love that. Roadworks. There was serious washing on the ground on the last step.
I tell you how I can appreciate that humor is because I had a Zoom meeting myself for about a week or so ago, and I was maybe, shall we say, about 5 minutes late. And the only excuse I could come up with is, sorry, I got lost. And luckily, the humor broke the mood. I mean, they clearly weren't very happy with me, the fact that I had managed to miss the first 5 minutes of this sort of important meeting. But
it's just people going, can you hear? Can you hear me? Can you? No, press the button. Press no on the bottom of the screen. There is no. We can't see you. No, we can hear you now. That's what you get. This is a Zoom meeting.
The mic button. I can't.
The mic button. The what? No, there's a button. Oh, Jesus.
We do seem to be spending half of our life doing that at the moment. And actually, there was a great video. I don't know if you've seen, but one of my colleagues at Talk Radio, Daryl Morris, created this great video where he's been Zooming with his grandparents. And
I saw it, yeah.
His grandparents haven't quite got to grips with how Zoom works, and ending the meeting is always mildly amusing. So it's less so the beginning for them, it's more about ending the meeting. And you've just got this montage of loads of meetings of theirs when he's waiting for them to end. And all you can hear is his grandfather saying, right, no, do you click on that one? What's that? No, it's that one there, isn't it? And you just trying to end the Zoom meeting is hilarious.
It makes me realize how young Daryl is. You know, he's Zooming his grandparents. I'd have to contact a Ouija board and Doris Stokes to get most of my relatives. Esther Winston. Hey, Paul Claridge apparently missed Monday's show. He was up a ladder.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
I think he just goes up a ladder to escape the Eastern European drug gangs who beat him up every day. It's a fantastic thing. But he's in a very dangerous. He hands out free newspapers. Why does he get beaten up? It's absolutely ridiculous. Right. Back to my point.
Oh, yes, your point.
There was a fracas on my Facebook page. It's all about COVID and this, that, and the other. Bye, bye, bye. What are you doing? Are you Backstreet Boys now, Esther Windsor? Are you Backstreet Boys? Obviously. Bye, bye, bye. Now, and I got private messaged by one of my regular people on Facebook, someone I've never met, but extremely charming person, very nice. And this person was horribly, horribly upset because they thought someone had been very personally rude and aggressive to them. And I try to kind of calm it down a little bit there. But it's this whole thing of, do you take these things to heart, or you just like, screw it, and you just ignore it? What do you do? What's this? What do you do? That was my thing, that people do get very upset. Paul Endicott, hello chaps. Sorry I can't stay. Just offer a much needed breath of fresh air by the river.
Well, Paul,
he doesn't talk like that at all. I just thought I'd do a Paul Endicott pretend voice.
Yeah, well, Paul, you will be delighted to hear that by the wonders of modern technology, and as long as you have a smartphone and some earpods, you'll be able to take Men's Radio wherever you go by listening to us on our app. Simply search the App Store for more details. There we go.
Isn't he great? Isn't he great? Phil's just terrific.
Yeah.
By the way, I was just going to... So do you take these things, when people are horribly rude on Facebook, do you think, screw you? Or do you take it to heart? Because you don't... What I was trying to explain to this other person, you don't actually know this, but it's actually somebody very well known, but you don't know them personally. They don't know you.
For me, it's worse. Paul Rose, too right. Other apps
are irrelevant. Hurry while stocks last.
Well, especially if you're going to Debenhams anytime soon.
Oh dear, has it gone? Has it gone, Debenhams?
Debenhams is to be wound down, yes. So, very sad.
Disgusting.
250-year-old department store.
Disgusting. Disgusting. 15,000 jobs, isn't it?
Something horrific like that, yeah.
But how are they going to get work? How are they going to get work? This is the thing. All right. So two things I'd really like to chit-chat with everybody about.
Second, Paul Rose, too soon, Phil, too soon. Come off it. It's not too soon.
Too soon. Richard Todd. I loved all your black and white war films. They were fantastic. Keyboard bullies are best ignored. They'll soon go away. Yeah, the trouble is if you engage, it's like throwing petrol on a fire to put the fire out. It ain't going to happen.
I have a terrible problem with see, is that this is kind of one of the reasons why I made the conscious decision earlier in the year to just back off from all things political with social media.
Yeah.
Is that my problem is that I do get too emotionally invested in something online, which is ridiculous because I know I shouldn't do, but it's kind of how
it's not ridiculous.
It's
not ridiculous. It's human nature. It's the injustice of it. It's the unfairness of it. It's the rudeness of it. It's the arrogance of it. It's the ignorance of it. The list goes on. And it's hard to go, the hell with it.
I mean,
it's hard to do that.
I do try and tell myself that if I was speaking to that person in real life, remember we can have a conversation with someone.
No.
If I was actually having that conversation with someone in real life, would they behave in that way? Would they be brave enough to behave in that way to my face?
Some would. Some would.
Yeah, more often than not, I think the answer is no. I agree.
But it would be a very short conversation. I mean, seriously, it would be a short conversation. You wouldn't stand there arguing with somebody. If they were a complete idiot, you'd just go, well, see ya, and then you'd walk away. I would. I wouldn't get involved.
If it's on your social media, there's no escape. And more often than not, most people have social media on their handheld device, their mobile devices, and they would take those with them wherever they go. So, of course, the temptation to look and see, well, have they come back? Have they replied? Have they said anything? And then I find that it gives you too long to think about it, because when you're having a conversation with someone face to face and you're in the thick of an argument, the brain works in a very mysterious way, and you sort of get defense mechanism, just come back with whatever you can say in a hurry. But then you have time to actually stop and analyze what's been said and what's been written. And then think of how many times you would like to say something to somebody in hindsight, because that's sort of the time.
Everybody does that. That is human nature. 3 o'clock in the morning, you go, why didn't I tell him? why didn't I say what? And then you get cross with yourself. But you can't beat yourself up. You can't beat yourself up about everything in life. Cut yourself some slack.
Yeah, but Arcade, don't you think the problem is, though, that if you were to say something with hindsight, that would arguably be a heck of a lot worse for whatever it is that you're disagreeing with somebody about?
Completely. You can't. You don't phone them up the next day and say, "Oh, by the way," you just have nothing to do with that person.
Yes, but that's what we do with social media. That's exactly the problem. We do that with social media. It gives us a chance to breathe, to compose ourselves, to think of our response, and potentially fuel the fire more so.
It is. What is this? Esther wins. James Blunt technique, respond versus react, is great reflecting back at them, their behavior. It works them, then block for, just block them. Just block. There's a weird thing, because it's all about bullying and mental health. This is really what it's about. It's not just communication. But there's a weird thing that we think we have to be nice to total strangers who are rude and aggressive because they happen to be on social media. No, we don't. I just block them. The hell with them. We don't know them. They're nothing to me. They're nothing to you. They're just rude. Block them so you don't have to deal with it. Richard Todd, would you like to read this one?
There is blimey.
Hang on. I can't see now, for God. Are you there?
I'm over here. Hello?
Right, where are you?
Right, there. Right, I'll try.
2 Ronnies now.
It's like a peer group. Right, there is a certain group of people.
Get a ladder. Get Paul Claridge's ladder. You're going to need it now.
Paul, help us out.
Where's your ladder, mate? Bring it round.
Right, there is a certain group of people in our town who took over local social media sites back in the summer with their BLM views. Black for those who don't know. If you dared to disagree, you were branded a racist.
Of course.
Just block them and they can't bother you. Apparently, in this group, that appears to be driven purely by hate for others and other people's views. They've now turned on themselves with a lot of in-house fighting. Shame that.
Yeah, big shame. Big shame.
Look,
big shame.
There is part and parcel of the problem is that unfortunately people have been given this platform, and let's be very clear, all the social medias are platforms to do this, by the way. There's not one more than the other, really. All social media gives you a platform to start an argument with people, to build up courage without truly composing yourself and actually thinking of what your argument is that you're getting into, and subsequently going down a very dark path where you have this really dingy view, frankly, on humanity. And it's quite disturbing when you look at it like that, because honestly, it's if you wouldn't do it to them in real life, keep it off of social media. That's as simple as that.
No, they don't. I wonder what they're really like, though. What are they really like in real life? Are they that twisted? Are they that bitter with life? Are they that horrible? I like to embrace life. Life's kicked me in the face umpteen times, but you get up, you brush yourself down, and otherwise give up. There's no point. Angela Lee, they're so brave behind a screen, cowards in real life. Many of them are, but some of them are raving mad, of course. And that is the other thing. We seem to have lost the ability to say, so and so, they're just raving mad. It's as though we have to give what they're saying credence. It's like, and this was another thing I wanted to talk about, would you have the vaccine or not? It's a huge subject. But it's like flat earthers. It's a very simple argument. You're nuts. You're as mad as a box of frogs. It's ridiculous. You're talking complete bollocks. Shut up. There's no such thing.
Have you ever come across a box of frogs?
Only in a Family Guy cartoon. I have no idea whether, I presume it does mean frogs and not French.
Well, I don't know whether or not that a box of frogs would actually be that bonkers, because I quite like frogs.
What's it like? What do they do? What harm do they do? They sit there, go, rabbit, and that's kind of it. Following your cartoon you shared, Russ, I've discovered to walk away from this is from Kimmy Lashmar, walk away from the screen, believing that I'm right anyway. Totally. What do you care what they think? They're nothing to you. They're nothing to you. It's this. We have been drawn into a wormhole, which is one. We have to give everyone their fair crack of the whip, even if they're clearly raving. No, they're clearly raving, man. Shut up. I don't have anything to do with them. Don't waste your time. It's like flat, as I said, it's like flat earth. It's like all these ridiculous conspiracy theories. They're nuts.
But can I ask, in all seriousness,
yeah, go on.
what's the problem with someone believing that we know they're wrong, but what's wrong with someone believing the earth is flat? Does that actually do any harm to anyone? Really?
Well,
I know it's inaccurate. I know it's wrong. Okay. I'm not, when I say wrong, I don't mean
it's
morally.
crazy.
It's factually inaccurate. Yes, but it's crazy to you, but it's not to them. And this is the problem, is that it's a very fine line as to sort of to call someone crazy for believing something that means something to them. A bit of a risky business, because
well, it's a short step from flat earth to momentum in my head. It's kind of like the same thing. You're just mad.
maybe, but it's to you. And this is the problem, is that I am a great believer, and I really, really mean this, is that everyone is entitled to their opinion, no matter how much or little it means to you as an individual.
That's a dangerous, they are, as long as it doesn't harm other people.
And that's very different. That's the point.
No, you see, the thing is, Phil, these statements, and it's a great statement, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's all very nice. I'm not being disparaging about it. It's a nice thing to say. It would seem a reasonable thing to say. But you have to add the caveat. And the caveat is everyone's entitled to their own opinion, unless it harms other people or groups of people.
Ed Grossman said, per se, nothing wrong with that. It's what they represent is wrong.
Yes, it is very wrong. It is very wrong.
If people didn't react, they would have to stop. Are reactions good or bad? Feed it.
It feeds it. It feeds it. If these people talk into a vacuum, they got nowhere to go. So they end up talking to themselves. They want you to respond. They're desperate for you to bite on the digital hook. That's what they want. They dangle the bait and you bite on it like a sucker, and they reel you in.
Kimmy says, you've just got to shake your head and let them, as long as they don't want to hurt anyone. Steve Marsh says, the difference is the flat earthers are mad, in his opinion, but momentum are dangerous and mad.
You see, this is an extension. I don't want to make it into a political thing. We're not a political radio station about mental health and well-being, right? But when you look at some of the absolute filth that is trolled out, I use the word advisedly, on particularly Twitter, which is a bit of a cesspit, quite frankly, then these views, it's all right. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. These opinions are twisted. Many of them are evil, and many of them are hugely racist and disgusting. So screw them. I hate them. The Essex Adventure, aka Toby, the problem is harm now appears to extend to mental health. So you mustn't upset. Well,
it's tricky because
this is a very difficult area, Toby. Very difficult.
Because the problem is there's sort of some truth in it. You know, it's if someone is genuinely offended, I'm talking genuinely offended. I don't like it when people jump on this blithering bandwagon where they think they should be offended, and
on somebody else's behalf. That's
very, very different. If someone is genuinely offended by something that someone has said, then I agree. There's something. Now, do you know, there was a problem. It was to me, there was someone at work who observed the other day that the lineup, I've got to be careful, okay? But let's just say that there were a group of colleagues that they were looking at a photo of, and they said, oh, that's not very ethnically diverse, is it? And I just said, why does it matter? I'm sorry if I'm missing something here. There is plenty, quite rightly to some, quite wrongly to others, let's be honest. Sorry, but it's true. There's right and wrong on both sides of ethnically diverse organizations. Now, whether or not I believe it's right or wrong is irrelevant, I believe. So I'm not going to sort of divulge what I think. But what got me was a need for that comment. It was nothing to do with what we were talking about, nothing to do with looking at the photo. It was just actually looking back on a memory. And yet...
Oh, they had to drag something else into it. So you couldn't just look at the memory.
Yeah, exactly. They felt the need to say, oh, that's not very ethnically diverse. And I thought, but where's that come from? This is nothing to do with what we're looking at. You know, you could look at.
Doesn't matter when people have this
Winston
burning agenda. They shoehorn, they crowbar their agenda into any situation, into any discussion.
But you could look at Winston Churchill's cabinet and say, "Oh, that's not very ethnically diverse," and it probably wasn't. But I'm not being funny. But it was then. This is now. Surely it's the "this is now" is more important. But anyway, look, the point is...
Well, this all goes back to reinventing history. I honestly want to go down to Guy's Hospital with a crowbar and take away the cladding they've put around the statue. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's disgusting. And as if I couldn't loathe the Mayor of London for what he's done to this city in terms of bringing it to a standstill. It's this which gets me so upset. Gets me so upset. Right. I'm not going to avoid where's he gone? Where's my little mate? Oh, I had an interview. Whoa. Let's do the theme tune again because I crashed it. Come on. Crazy name, crazy gal. Sorry I'm late, she says. I had an interview she's lost me. Phil, what does that mean?
Maybe she was moonlighting on another radio station and she had an interview. We interviewed on air.
There's another word I heard that completely lost me yesterday. Job.
Stephen Marsh. Eve, was it for Phantom of the Opera?
Spelled
the same way as Eve's surname, by the way, not with a PH.
No, I don't think we can. I know, but I don't think, Paul Rose, we can say how did it go because it's none of our business.
It was a job interview.
A job interview.
Ooh. We look forward to being kept updated to whatever was updated with.
So wait a minute. If Priti Patel is under pressure to go, this could be Phantom's new role.
Oh my goodness me, could you imagine? She could actually, do you know what? If for whatever reason Eve decided to go and work for Keir Starmer, then potentially, if she was to say take the opposite position to Priti Patel, would that mean that she is the Phantom's shadow Home Secretary?
Thank you. All right, moving on. Paul Claridge.
Anyway.
I want to go back and I think we've dealt effectively with the job interview. I think we've exhaustively mined that rich vein of comedy. Now, where's he gone? Come on, Ramsey. Ramsey says, why are they dangerous for having alternative views? No, Ramsey, that's twisting it. No one is dangerous for having an alternative view. It is dangerous when that view says, let's just eradicate that whole group of people. Let's just wipe them out. That's kind of dangerous. You must see that, Ramsey. You're a very intelligent, clever person. No one is saying you can only have one view. That would be revolting. But when that view is, let's go out and just destroy these and just besmirch and do everything we can to a group of people, let's just say, because you're talking about momentum, which I don't want to do, because I won't give them any airtime.
We sort of just have.
Well, yeah, but I mean, no, because Ramsey's saying, "Oh, you've all got to have the same view." I'm not saying that at all. Where would life would be horrendous if we all had exactly the same view.
Okay, we've got a treat now, haven't we?
We have got a treat for everybody.
You and
it's a review of E Phantom's job interview. We're going to see it. She didn't know it was recorded on Zoom.
It's how it played out. No, what we've got for you now is that Russ and I caught up a little. We'd never actually done this before. This is quite exciting for us. This is what we call in the trade a pre-rec. Okay, so Russ and I caught up a little earlier on in the, well, I suppose last month now, really, wasn't it? With a rather remarkable chap by the name of James Holland. Now, James is from an organization who's trying to raise awareness for Walking Home for Christmas. And it's a great health charity about mental health and awareness. And they're trying to encourage people. It's working with the military as well, trying to encourage people to try and offer a bit of humor in a bid for Walking Home for Christmas. Anyway, there's no point in me trying to tell you this when, frankly, we can hear what happened when Russ and I spoke to James a couple of weeks back. So here we are. I need to click a couple of buttons. Oh, like that. There we go. Look at that. We're going back into... Okay, this is exciting. Anyway, here's what happened. We'll see you the other side. Men's radio station with Russ Kane and Phil Dave. This is The Daily Show, and I'm delighted to say now that we are joined by World War II historian James Holland to talk about a rather fascinating and frankly superb new initiative where he and comedian Al Murray are trying to encourage you, the great British public, to come up with your best military jokes and banter to help support Walking with the Wounded's Walking Home for Christmas campaign. Good Lord, that sounded so much easier to say in my mind than it did out loud. James, a very warm welcome to The Daily Show, and thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps first and foremost, you could start off with just telling people, for those who don't know, what the Walking Home for Christmas campaign is.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Phil, and thanks, chaps, for having me on. So Walking Home for Christmas, the idea is to kind of raise awareness for the charity, which Walking with the Wounded, which was set up 10 years ago. And the idea was to kind of raise awareness of people and raise money for wounded people, but veterans, ex-veteran, ex-servicemen and so on. Not necessarily physically wounded, but that could be the case, but also mentally wounded as well. And it's that kind of mental health issue that they're particularly strong on. And the idea of Walking Home for Christmas is, it's an annual campaign, but I think it has a sort of added poignancy this year because of the lockdown, this new battleground that we're all having to deal with wretched COVID. And so the idea is to sort of buddy up with someone, maybe lots of people if lockdown is released after the 2nd of December, but certainly one other person, get out, go and do a walk. Could be a mile, it could be 20 miles, it could be up a mountain, it could be, around the centre of town, it could be anywhere you like. Hopefully raise a little bit of money as well, but primarily get out, have a laugh, have some banter, get some fresh air, see the light, and make yourself feel a little bit better.
The first thing, it's a fabulous idea, but I have to ask straight away, how did you hook up with Al Murray? It's an unlikely combo.
Well, Al is a really big fan of history, and particularly the Second World War. And we got to know each other some years ago now, and we've been mates for quite a long time. And we used to meet up, not irregularly, in London pubs and stuff, have a few pints and just chew the cud about the war. And so it seemed an obvious progression to kind of then record what we're talking about and turn it into a podcast. And here we are 18 months on or so.
And I'm assuming, James, and we'll get back on track in a sec. It's just how my mind works. I'm assuming that Al is nothing like the pub landlord in real life, who is a complete monster.
No, but
he's very funny.
He's not like the pub landlord at all. He's a lovely fellow, Al. He's a very gentle fellow too. And like me, he's got that slightly obsessive sort of geeky side to him. And a real passion for the subject. And I can promise you, we never, ever run out of things to talk about. I mean,
can imagine.
We can just sort of have it on for absolutely hours and hours and hours. And everyone and our producers always get a little bit cross with us because we always sort of, we say, okay, we're going to talk about this. And then we end up going down some interminable rabbit hole and never quite kind of finish.
Welcome to Phil and I's world.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about, chaps. But anyway, we have a lot of fun with it. We really do. And he's a great person to hang out with. A lot of fun. And, when we go and do our walk, we'll have fun doing that too. We're planning to go and join up some pillboxes.
So really?
It was the old GHQ line from 1940, which was a series of it was a defensive line linked with lots of pillboxes and bunkers and stuff, which are still there. Obviously, those pesky Germans never actually managed to get across the channel, thank goodness.
Thank
God. They were never really used, but they're there still. And we thought it'd be fun to go and sort of join a few of them up and see how many we could get through in a day.
Oh, it's
when I do shows
of you in German, honestly, do you know the only thing that crosses my mind is that everything that's gone on. He's already mentioned about what's happened with COVID this year, and there are understandably people who are a little bit nervous about leaving the house now. We've sort of unfortunately and inadvertently bred a generation now of agoraphobic people, and I think quite rightly so in a lot of cases. However, you're encouraging people to obviously go for walks with friends. Now, maybe they'll socially distance, maybe they won't, but are you worried about how that could impact on the campaign, that people might not want to do this in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, but how they got rid of the Spanish flu was by opening the windows. And I think, if you want to get COVID, the best way of doing it is to sort of stay in a hermetically sealed room that's too warm, with no fresh air coming in. I mean, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get COVID if you're walking outside. And no one is expecting you to kind of hold hands as you're going walking, or kind of sort of cough and splutter over each other. I mean, you can socially distance while you're walking. That's no problem, and still talk to each other. The bottom line is the health risks from COVID of being outside are pretty minimum, but the health benefits are enormous, because I think it was Jean-Jacques Rousseau, that great French philosopher, who said man has his greatest thoughts when surrounded by nature. I mean, that's certainly something I kind of adhere to. I get an awful uplift, a huge uplift from going for a good walk. It clears the head. You see a bit of light. You get some fresh air. You get the sun or the rain on your face, or the wind or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You're kind of more in tune with your environment. These are all good things. And I think the other good thing about it is going with a mate or a family member or whoever it might be, or group of friends, is that you'll have some chat and have a bit of banter, and you can sort of get any concerns off your chest. I mean, as Bob Hoskins used to say, it's good to talk.
You see, my problem with this, James, is that I walk 2.5, 3 miles every day, but my dog is a shit conversationalist. I'm trying the banter. I'm taking your advice. I'm not getting much.
Come back! Don't go after that other dog. Don't go chasing rabbits. Whatever.
But you're right. If I don't get my daily walk, I feel very kind of stifled. It's lousy. When you open the curtains and it's pouring, you think, and
just got to go for it, mate. Got to do it. Rain or shine. I think you just
tell that to the mini schnauzer.
Yeah, well,
because she'll look and go, I don't think so.
Well, listen, I'm with you. Okay, my dog, I've got an Irish Terrier, and Betsy absolutely hates the water. Just goes, I'm not going out there. Today. I go, come on, we're going.
We're going whether you want to or not.
Exactly.
Now, what sort of uptake have you had?
Frankly, you two want to be grateful that at least you can persuade your dogs to go out at all. Mine just take one look at the front door and say, I'm not going out there without being carried.
I've known Phil for years. I don't know if I've never known him take the dogs for a walk.
I can't. They won't do it, I tell you.
Just not interested. Well, that's nice to you. You just have to kind of rise above that insubordination.
Precise. Now, James,
yes, well, the uptake is good. It's been great, and it's massively up on what it was last year. So that's terrific news. So we're really, really pleased about that. I mean, as I say, the point of it is kind of threefold, really. The first one is obviously to raise money. Second one is to raise awareness, and the third one is to improve the people of those who are kind of doing the walks, having the walks themselves. Of actually sort of, I promise you, for all the banter and all the gags we're having about kind of, stubborn dogs and all the rest of it. The truth of the matter is if you do go out and you do get a bit of fresh air, you will feel better. You
totally agree. You're absolutely right. You need not tell Phil or myself to try and convince us. We're both there. Phil does that because he's always staring at a computer screen, as am I. Yeah. And you just got to get out.
And also,
it's just great.
We live in an amazing country for all its many flaws. It is a small place with an incredibly varied topography and geography. You've got mountains, you've got moors, you've got flat bits, you've got hilly bits, you've got incredible cities, towns, coastline, all the rest of it. It doesn't matter where you go. You can walk to the retail park if you really want to, but there is so much to see and do in this country. There really is. And the great thing about walking is it costs absolutely nothing.
It's true. It's true.
On that very subject, based on the amount of money that people can spend, don't get me wrong, quite rightly, on various therapies that they know can help them, what better therapy than to do something that costs you nothing and arguably will probably do so much more for you than anyone getting you to sit on a chaise longue can do. Exactly. On that very subject, obviously we are Men's Radio. What we do is we talk about mental health and well-being, and we ask our guests to do the same, frankly. On that very subject, what does walking do for your mental health, would you say?
Oh, it does a huge amount. I mean, I'm a really, really big walker. I like doing really long distance walks, but I'm walking, on the trot for several days at a go, but I also make sure I go out walking every single day. I just find it does all those things. It's good exercise. It's very good exercise, very good metabolic exercise. Clears the head, clears the mind, helps me resolve plot conundrums when I'm writing, all sorts of things. I mean, it helps me sort of be at one with my surroundings and nature, all those things. And I think it's, I can't put a kind of a value on it. It's invaluable.
It's interesting you say that, because back when we had a life and I would do stand up here and in Los Angeles, I would be doing the routines and working it all up. When I walk, I can't do it sitting down at the desk. Impossible. I have to be walking and go through the routine. Not at all.
I've got to go, chaps.
Oh, all right. Well, it's
I'm
been
on my next interview, I'm afraid. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Maybe wish you all the very, very best, James. Thank you for finding time. How busy you are today. Thank you for joining us. Hope it all goes really, really well. I think what you're doing is fantastic. And
Where do people go? Where do people go for more information? Just really quickly.
They go for walkhomeforchristmas.com. All one.
Perfect.
Walkinghomeforchristmas.com.
Walkinghomeforchristmas.com. We wish you all the very, very best, James. Bless you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, chaps. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Good Lord. Well, there you go. So that's what happened. Quite extraordinary. When
Hey, tell you what.
I think we should declare at this stage, we didn't know how little time we'd have with James. And we were carrying on as if we had an hour with him. So when we suddenly found out that it was time to end the interview, we hadn't asked him half of what we were planning on doing. So I'm very sorry.
No, you might think, what's the matter with you two? We assumed, where you make an arse out of you and me, we assumed that that we'd have the normal sort of 30 minutes plus, but he was there and he had interviews lined up like planes at Heathrow Airport. So suddenly the interview, his phone went. That was the end of it. Phil and I were looking at each other going,
can we try again? So sorry about that, but anyway,
that was it. Interesting guy. Veronica Curran, let's get back to the social media row. Social media gives people a stage that allows them the ability to voice nonsense we wouldn't normally be part of through choice. So true. COVID brought me onto Facebook for interesting comment, so I didn't go mad. Technology has its place, but it's hugely limited now for me. Certain shows like you guys. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, you do have to be a little picky. You have to be picky. And you don't have to like everybody, and you don't have to respond to everybody. You don't have to think their views are right. You just ignore it. Who was he? Well, Phil explained. Edward. Phil explained very clearly and concisely in a brilliant Phil Dave manner. Who was he?
James Holland was an historian who was working with the comedian Al Murray, trying to encourage people to, quote, walk home for Christmas. And the idea being is raising awareness for the benefits of walking and making sure that people get a little bit of exercise every day, just really for their own mental well-being and their benefit.
Totally. I have to. Got to be done. Hey, Ramsey's come back. Ramsey has come back. I was trying to highlight the trend on social media to use labels. What are you eating? Why couldn't you wait? There's another 22 minutes of the show. You couldn't wait? Why are you eating? Phil Dave, don't ignore me. So annoying. He is so, I've never met anyone so annoying. No, lunchtime starts at 1 o'clock.
For me, it doesn't. It starts
what exactly are you eating?
Well, that was some vegetable soup that I made yesterday or Monday.
You're using a knife and fork.
I doubt it. Be very tricky to eat.
That's what I was thinking. Ramsey, I was trying to highlight the trend on social media to use labels like dangerous, idiot, thick, etc. with disagreeing on social media. It's what has led to increased tribalism and polarization and lack of nuance. Excuse me, I don't agree with much of what Boris Johnson says, but I try to address his arguments and not resort to insults. Well, precisely. Yeah, that's great. That's great. But when people are being so vile, you gotta fight fire with fire, haven't you? There's no point in trying to argue with people who are bonkers Marxists. There's no point.
No, the problem is when someone resorts to tittle tattle and name calling, it just goes to demonstrate that their argument has absolutely no substance whatsoever. They're totally out of ideas. knows?
Of course
They
he
have
does.
no idea how to argue the case if they just resort to arguing with names.
Yeah, it's pathetic. So it's absolutely pathetic. But so's bullying. Paul Rose, I just recorded a parody of Driving Home for Christmas. Do you think your guest would be interested in another one for his campaign? Yeah, sure.
I have to tell you, that is my favorite Christmas song. Chris Rea, Driving Home for Christmas.
Really?
Love
How
it.
long? I mean, how crap is his sat nav? He's been driving home since 1980 something. Has he
Well, that's
stopped for
right.
petrol? Has he stopped for a wee? Has he stopped and pulled in the service station, had a sandwich? We don't know.
I mean, I wonder
Every
if
year.
I'm going to re-release If Now, because obviously most people aren't driving anywhere for Christmas
Yeah,
this year.
not going anywhere.
Yeah. Could be
It
interesting.
could just be called Not Driving Home for Christmas, sitting here on my own.
I'm staying home for Christmas.
Staying home for Christmas, hoping I don't die. I bought an electric car, so I can't go very far. That's the song. Paul Rose, can you help put me in touch? Yeah, Phil can. Yeah, Phil. Have we got his details? We've got his PR people details, I think. You'd have to go through his PR team because he's the important. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. So you're going to have the vaccine? Are we not going to have the vaccine? What's the deal? Paul, tell her to leave and not get upset. What's the problem? I don't get it. If you can understand their views, it makes the world a better place, says Kimmy Lashmore. You can't always understand. Kimmy, it's lovely. You know, won't we love it? You can't. Some people, it's impossible. You can't. Being nice is the opposite position to Priti Patel. If she was a guy, she wouldn't get all this crap. I've said it. If Priti Patel was a bloke, she wouldn't be getting all this nonsense. That's how I feel about that. There is still a resistance to intelligent, strong women. That's it. And guys seem to be able to get away with it. Oh, he's a, it goes all the way back. This thing goes all the way back to, he's a ladies' man. Yeah, he's got lots of women. Oh, she's a slag. It's the same principle. It's exactly the same principle. Completely unfair.
Never ever understood that. It is so true. It's
true, isn't it?
If you are, how can we put it delicately, promiscuous, if you're a man.
Popular would be the word.
Right, if you are, all right. So fine. If you're popular as a bloke with women, then
ladies,
bit of a player, perhaps possibly like our own.
Yeah.
But other way around. Oh, she puts herself about it.
What's up?
King.
What's up? It's true.
Though I do have to say, though, there is actually, it's not innocent on both sides, might I stress, because exactly the same way, if a man leered over a woman in this day and age, he'd be a pervert. Oh. If a woman leered over a man, especially one who happens to be topless and in very good shape, they're just admiring the human body.
Having a girls' night out, aren't they? Having a bit of a girls' night out. Know what I mean?
There are double standards. I think there are double standards on both sides. Make no mistake.
Yeah. Well, what the hell? What was I going to do? Ken Elmjino. There he's turned up. I was just thinking about it. If Priti Patel was the Labour woman, can you imagine the outcry? I just. Kimmy Lashmore, yes, Priti Patel has had so much sexism and racism, it's unbelievable. Isn't it great that they haven't... See, she's never played the race card. Never. That's what's interesting to me.
No, that's what you call class.
Paul Rose, staying home for Christmas and you've put up the whole thing. There we go. That's marvellous. Thank you. So we can put that there. Ken Elmjino, talking of players... I know actors, performers, and musicians have suffered grievously through the COVID lockdown, but please don't forget about the journos. Totally. I want to talk about this in a sec, but please don't forget about the journos. Our industry has been slowly collapsing for years, but the disastrous new ABC newspaper circulation figures show that COVID has, and I get a pop-up, which I don't want, COVID has... what is it? Basically killed off Fleet Street for good. The days of wine and roses are over and they won't be back. Ken Elmjino posted some figures for the Daily Mirror. And Ken, help me out here because I'm trying to do it from memory, which if you knew what my brain was like would be a disaster for anyone. It used to be in the millions, didn't it? I think the circulation of the Daily Mirror was something like 3 million. Or 4. It was huge. I mean, my mum and dad, I grew up reading the Daily Mirror. My mum and dad always got the Daily Mirror. Go figure. But they did. And the circulation now is about 300,000. 300,000 for what was one of the biggest national daily newspapers. Do you buy a newspaper?
I don't need to be rude. Have you read the Daily Mirror recently?
Oh, I'm not getting into the whys and wherefores of if you like it, if you don't like it, and what its political leanings. I'm really looking at a much broader church of is the whole idea of a newspaper finished. And what I really wanted to try and close the show with is now what you do, you got soup in your pockets. What are you doing now?
I just touched some money to repair something, so I'm washing my hands.
You touched some money to repair something. Phil, are you back on drugs?
So what happened is that I had a problem with my mic stand just now, and
Right.
you asked for this, so don't worry if this is boring. Anyway, I had a problem just now with my mic stand, and it wasn't sort of sitting properly. I just say basically how common, and in a nutshell, it didn't sit very well. So
At the end of the day,
I had to take the head off of the microphone to try and repair it, and underneath where the mic holder is a little converter.
kill me now.
On the end of the mic stand, you see. But the
Just
problem
shoot
with
me.
the converter is it got stuck. And the way to undo that converter is you get a coin, maybe like a 2 pence piece,
Right.
something like that. And you twist it like a
Phil,
drill,
for the love of God, please stop.
release it.
Phil, I'm begging.
Anyway,
I am begging you.
eventually, I had to
Jesus.
try and just straighten it out again and put it back on. But of course, it meant that I had to touch 2 pence.
Phil, I swear, I'm going to jump in the car and punch you in half in a second.
No, but the problem was if I had to touch it, if I touched the 2 pence piece, it meant I was touching money.
I'm dying here.
I just had to wash it
I'm
out.
dying here. I can't.
Anyway, it's funny actually because the problem with these mic
Oh,
stands.
please stop. Please.
Can I just say, next
I'm
time
so
you ask,
sorry, everybody.
next time you ask, what are you doing? Now you know what will happen. So that out. Do apologize,
You're
everyone.
listening to the
I do
Daily,
know for what it's
you're
worth.
listening to the Daily Show on Men's radio station. Now, Debenhams, we mentioned it earlier. Phil, next week, Phil talks tech. It's a
Actually,
2
you
hour
know
special.
What's really disturbing for you, Paul Rose, is actually on one of the other stations. I do talk tech.
Because it's called the Chic. Was it called the Chic Geek?
That's it, Chic Geek.
The Chic Geek. That's cool. Mute him, right? Well, Ramsey, I would, but Phil's got the desk. He's got the. I have nothing.
Contraire, Ramsey.
I've got a light, and I've
I'm
got
afraid-
little bells.
That is my job. Oh dear, what a terrible shame. I just muted Russ. What can we do now?
Give an oaf a little bit of power, and he goes mad. Now then, we're men talk incessantly. Here's the thing. Serious note. Now, Debenhams has gone. We can't get into the whys and wherefores. It's just horrible to have what was an institution. People really loved it. I bought something from Debenhams recently online, etc. It's gone. 15,000 jobs. Jesus. Awful. Horrible. Now, and people have been moaning, Phil, the lockdown's taken it. This is completely
How's it
bad.
taking its toll? I'm happy. It's the end of lockdown. Pubs, bars, and restaurants open up again with the most ridiculous restrictions. Hairdressers, nail bars. Finally, I can go get my manicure. It's great.
Please tell everyone you're joking. Please. I'll be besieged with questions about you otherwise, and I haven't got time today. This is my list. This is today's list of stuff, which there we are. Can't show you everything, but that's just part of my list. Now, High Street. People have been moaning, oh, the High Street. And I have said for a number of years, the High Street's dead. It's finished. It's gone. And I honestly believe the High Street's over. I think the High Street's gone the way of the fax machine, the telex machine, and the horse and cart. It's done.
What's
And
the
it's
telex? What's the telex?
there you go.
Jokes.
There you go. But yeah, back in the day, you'd have been the only person who knew how to work the telex. I mean, geez, it was just the most complicated.
Sandra Butler, where have you been?
Sandra, we're going to have to start the show again all over.
Oh,
Have rows, everything. I'll tell you what, Sandra, you missed a fascinating monologue from Phil about his microphone. Moving on, Ken Entrepreneur, it was a oh my God, Daily Mirror was 5.3 million a day. Now it's down to 380,000. Jeez. And as you rightly say, I won't read the whole thing, but if you've got the Metro and an Evening Standard, which Paul Claridge gives away, these are free. Don't even have to pay for them. And they can't get circulation up. So the high street, much like newspapers, I honestly believe is a thing of the past. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's like, it is this, right? And I blame greedy landlords for putting up rates crazy. I blame local councils for ridiculous parking and ghastly traffic wardens who are, I blame lazy shopkeepers who don't train their staff. I blame ridiculously loud music when you walk in that you don't always need. I blame disinterested staff who know nothing about the products, who don't really care if they serve you, if they don't serve you, who treat you like a bloody nuisance instead of a customer. I blame all those things. You put them all together and you think, well, I can sit in the comfort of my own home, get exactly what I want, not have to drive around like an idiot, not have to get 28 buses to get there, and it's delivered to my door. And it's perfect. And I don't have to put up with anybody else's nonsense.
Who would have thought that all of that could have led to the death of the high street?
But but people look around and go, oh no, oh, how did that happen? How do you think it happened? The only shops, I honestly believe, this is only my view, that the shops that will survive are privately owned, are run by the owners or the owners, people with a vested interest in the shop who really want to give good service where you can't get it anywhere else. And you go in and you have a really great experience. It's all about the experience. Otherwise, shopping, is no more interesting than going out to buy toilet paper, milk, and kitchen roll. It's just something you have to do. You don't look forward to the experience. It's just something you have to do.
For me, one of the worst things you get on the high streets in any particular sort of shop, this is nothing targeted, it happens across the board, is when you get people conversing with their colleagues. So in other words, you get someone who's supposedly serving you at, say, a till or a checkout, and rather than look at you, interact with you, and thank you for giving them your hard-earned money, they're doing this, Russ, frankly. I mean, could you imagine if we did the show like this, just you and I?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, she said to me, she said, I can't do Thursday. I said back to her, I said, what, you can't do Thursdays?
Yeah.
No, she said, she can't do it. I said, yeah.
That's £10, please. Anyway.
Yeah. No, excuse me. No, Phil, you said please.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. £10. Anyway, so what you do is it's ridiculous. It's so wrong. It's so rude. And I have actually developed a thing now where, I'm sorry, this may come as a massive shock to you because far be it from me to speak my mind. Oh, wait, hang on, I do. Anyway, if I go into a shop now and someone does this, if they are either conversing in English or another dialect, I would say, sorry, what was that? And then more often than not, they're a bit taken aback by it. They don't know what to say. Someone will say, oh, no, sir, I wasn't talking to you. And I said, well, why not? I'm here. I'm the customer. And just, for God's sake.
Now, during lockdown, both of them, I've been going to my little corner shop run by Vimel. It's his shop. And Vimel is just the greatest, nicest, most charming guy. Will go the extra mile. If he hasn't got something in, he'll get it specially for you. Just fabulous. And I thank him every time. And we always have a chat. And as soon as I walk in, hi, Russell, how are you doing? How's this and how? That's it. It's his shop, and he treats people properly. And it's only a little tiny shop, but that's where I've done nearly all my shopping.
Ed has hit the nail on the head. Seriously. Phil, indeed, they also fiddle with their phones. The other day, right, this happened to me in a shop. I think it was the other day, actually, because all the shops are shut at the moment. You know what I mean? few weeks back, whenever it was, it's irrelevant. Timing doesn't matter. In a shop, person behind the counter on the phone, talking on the phone, and then holds a hand out for me to hand over the goods. And I said, no, don't worry, I'll wait. And so she said, no, I might be a while. I said, no, you won't. I said, I'll wait until you are off the phone. And then they said, I'll call you back. Genuinely.
I think they were annoyed. I bet they were annoyed.
Of course they were annoyed. I was annoyed. I don't care. How rude. I'll be a while. No, you bloody won't. Excuse my French. No, you really won't be rude. So what's the matter with these people?
There's a line in, do you remember Penelope Keith in The Good Life? Penelope Keith in The Good Life. And she's got the builders in or something, right? That's not a euphemism, I mean she's got the builders in. And he goes, all right, love, I won't be a minute. She goes, that's absolutely right. You'll be precisely 10 seconds. It was years ago, about 20, 30 years ago. I don't know, 30 years. I always remember that line. Paul Rose, I started a book on how to improve customer service. And then I looked at the target market and like them, I couldn't be bothered.
It's like me, Paul. I started reading a book the other day on superglue. I couldn't put it down.
Paul Claridge, when I joined the civil service in 1989, telex machines were the way. Urgent messages were sent and received. It was my job to monitor the main telex in our department. It was part of the national network for informing the departments that we were at war. It's a slight worry to know that the national security of deciding if we were at war or not rested on Paul Claridge. We've met him. Or if there was a terrorist attack, basically, if it started whirring, we were in a spot of bother. So British, isn't it? If it started whirring, we were in a spot of bother. It just been declared war on by Russia. Spot of bother. Veronica Curran, trying to buy gifts from local family-owned businesses. Good for you. Absolutely. Xmas gifts. Produce from local farm shop. Totally. Love it. It's all going to be so strange. No city centre shops. They'll have to, what they're going to have to do, I've got a couple of minutes, they've got to rethink the whole idea. They've got to rethink the whole notion. Eventually, transportation like this will be completely changed. Nobody will actually own a car. You've got to go from A to B. You walk out on the street, you jump into something that'll be lined up there. You'll go, you'll drop it off. It'll be like your own kind of taxis.
Hang on. Just given the age of COVID, where our own possessions are more important than ever, you really think they're going to have that?
Eventually, not for a while.
No, a year ago, I would have totally agreed with that. I would have said, absolutely. What's the point of owning a car? You jump in a little bubble or what have you. It takes you wherever you need to be, and off you go. Honest to God, I won't touch another vehicle someone else has driven at the moment.
Gloves, you wear disposable gloves. Yeah, I get it. But Veronica, what they're going to have to do with the high streets, they're going to have to turn them into different sort of centres, the meeting centres. I don't know what, but they've got to have a rethink, because you cannot just have every high street like a charity shop, a bookmakers, a money for gold. I would say a bank, but you can't find them anymore because they don't want us. And the what? And the nail bar, yeah, and the hairdresser and the nail bar. Mill Hill Broadway, is there 8 hairdressers or something insane? One little street. It's bonkers how they would do business. So there we are. You've got things change, and whether it's in my lifetime or not, who knows? But they have to rethink these things.
In Mill Hill, you can go on a Barnet crawl. Barnet, never mind. Paul Rose and Greg's, quite right.
And Greg's. But Greg's, all right, in 2 minutes left, Greg's is good. You go in there, they're always very polite. Ed Grossman, offices are finished. I totally believe this, Ed. I think that this is the rethink. People have said it's a great reset, which is a conspiracy theory. I think it's a rethink. Because if you don't need offices, why bother? Go in once or twice a week when you need to for human interaction. You need
any odd way. That is it. That's all we've got time for, I'm afraid, for today. But don't you stress yourself. We'll be back for 3 hours. Yes, 3 hours. I know you love it. On Friday, where, of course, we'll have loads of interesting guests and great chat and discussion as well. So hopefully you'll join us from 11 o'clock on Friday. See you then, everyone. Bye-bye.
Are you feeling anxious? Online Therapy 24/7 is here to help. We offer confidential support from the comfort of your own sofa. Our highly qualified therapists are experienced in a full range of daily challenges. You'll be in safe and trusted hands. Don't suffer alone. Change your life by calling us on 0207 553 50 80 and check out our website onlinetherapy247.com.